Well, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Yes,
it is
absolutely.
the morning.
It's a beautiful morning.
It is.
Might I add?
Spring has sprung.
That it has, Christian. That it has.
So I think last time we had our last cold podcast, perhaps for a while. We will see. But it is now spring.
It is
It's
spring
a
indeed.
beautiful spring day. We are at
We're at Brayside Park.
Brayside Park.
Yes, we are.
And we
Brayside
have
Park.
walked, I don't know where we've walked, but we've walked somewhere.
And we just found a spot.
Through
and
bushes.
we sat down.
Through barren wastelands.
There are rabbits running around.
Rabbits everywhere. We are
Yeah.
currently sitting in rabbit territory.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do not try and kick us off their land, but we shall see.
If they want to contribute to the podcast, they can.
They can,
But positive energy only, please.
definitely, they can contribute their opinions to the podcast if they would like. But good to be here.
It's great to be here, man.
We had our last episode recorded at Gels Park release last week or the week before. This one should be coming out quite soon. And for those who listened last time, you'll remember that we said that today we were going to be continuing our conversation. Last time we talked about anxiety.
Yeah.
And now we're going to be talking about how does composure contribute basically to leadership, or why is composure needed in leadership? And it's basically the flow on of, okay, last episode, so if you haven't heard that yet, go listen to that one. We basically talked about, okay, how do you become composed? Which is basically how do you deal with anxiety. And today we're just talking about, okay, now that we've dealt with that, we understand it more. We haven't dealt with it, but we understand it more. We understand how to deal with it. Okay, now, how does that contribute to composure? Do you need to be composed in order? Do you need to have anxiety under control, or in order to step into positions of leadership, or in order to guide people and all these things? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And then
we've got some stories as well we could probably share to make it pretty personal.
Yeah, of course. And then the
Obviously, we
second
have our
part,
experience.
yeah, plenty of stories. And then after that, what are we going to talk about?
The second part was letting go. It was discussing if we have let go of someone and what our experiences were around that,
Yeah,
and why we had to let go of someone, what was our motivations for it. And because it's a very difficult thing to do.
and it's something everyone experiences.
Yeah, but it's helpful to have a strong reason behind why you're doing it, just to really guide you through those difficult moments when maybe you're wavering on your decision.
Yeah,
I think that topic means a lot. I know it especially means a lot to me, and I think it probably means a lot to you as well. I know it means a lot to you as well. And so both the topics today are, very meaningful to both of us.
and they require a lot of leadership, and they do require a lot of composure in order to let go of things. It requires a lot of composure.
Well, you have to have the composure to be able to actually make that decision, to be able to understand enough about your current situation for what it really is, to be able to go and say, okay, I need to make a change. And change in itself is very rewarding, but it's not necessarily easy.
Beautifully said.
Not. Anyway, beautiful, mate. I think that we could start off with a lesson that we've learned from the last week.
What have you learned, sir, last week?
So in this last week, actually, I've had quite a week. And the reason I say that is on Monday, I'm going to get pretty open and vulnerable. There's no reason to beat around the bush here. I think this podcast is an opportunity for us to be vulnerable and help other people see that you can do it, and then you can post it online and you're not going to die, right? And so this week, along with all of my challenges, I had a very big challenge, and I had a difficult conversation with my partner, and I learned from that conversation that what I was doing was projecting my discomfort and my insecurity onto her and saying, hey, you need to fix these things about yourself. You need to change. When in reality, it was me that was trying to make myself not feel uncomfortable in those situations by asking her to change instead of looking at myself first. And that caused quite a disturbance, I guess, in our relationship that created quite a challenge for us. It was me trying to, I've had a bit of a painful year, so it's me trying to transfer my pain from myself onto her and blame her for my problems and say that, no, she was the one that was wrong with it. She was the one that needed to change, when in reality it was me. And that was a hard lesson. You can read a lot of self-help books and help a lot of people and guide a lot of people. And I think my message from what I'm trying to say here is, even with a lot of self-development, there's always more development to be done. And there's always more things you can learn, more experiences you need to have. But I trusted myself in that moment. I trusted myself that what I was doing was the right thing. It wasn't the right thing, but it showed me and it taught me a very, very important lesson, that some of the things that I find uncomfortable in situations that other people might be doing, it's not necessarily their fault. They're not necessarily making me feel that way. I'm having that reaction to what they are doing. And that reaction is what I need to look at, not their behavior.
No. Well, thank you for sharing that. I think a really cool thing that I heard from that I can pull away, and I guess people listening can pull away, is, and you and I, we're coaches and we live and breathe self-improvement and every single day, and like, we're not perfect. We're not at the pinnacle of anything, but
no.
It's just to show that, 100% of Calum and my time and thinking process is about self-improvement and all the content we consume, books and all this knowledge that we have. And it just goes to show, as you said, there's never an end. You will always be finding ways to improve. And one of my favorite books, and one of your favorite books too, Return to Love, there's this chapter in there called Relationships, just talks about relationships. And at the very start of that chapter, it says, your relationships is where everything you've learned is tested. It's where you actually learn the things you've learned. Logically is where you actually learn them in real life.
Yeah,
so,
that is true.
Like, the thing is that I love about you and what you said is, you have all this knowledge, like, all these things, and you were just presented with a challenge that's been maybe beneath the surface for a while, but it's just popped up in an instant. And it's like, okay, all this knowledge I've had, this is where it is now. Yeah. Now I can apply it. And it sounds like you've applied it, which is fantastic. And
it was really tough. And because, and I think one of the other subsequent lessons, and I'm just going to quickly gloss over this before jumping into your lesson.
Go.
But I just want to add that I think during this process, I really discovered more about how, as a coach, like, I'm a coach. I'm not a perfect man. I'm not going into that situation thinking I need to be perfect in order for this person to listen to me. I just need to be there to support them. I need to work out how I can support them. I need to work out how I can help them get from where they are now to where they want to be. That's my role. And it's not to be perfect. And once I kind of let that go, which this challenge helped me see more of, and I've definitely let go a lot of that perfectionism or that tendency to need to be perfect. But each challenge that I'm having now as I'm diving deeper into this beautiful relationship is, presenting me with more opportunities to see that, no, you don't have to be perfect. And it's exactly like what you said. There's always room to improve.
Yeah, so it's almost a learning lesson. Like, this is my interpretation of it. It's almost a learning lesson of perfectionism and control for ourselves and others for you. It's like, okay, how can I realize my own perfectionism and then others, like, imperfectionism as a perfection of themselves, which is fantastic. So thank you for that vulnerability.
Well, what was your lesson, man?
My lesson, well, as we're recording this on a Sunday, and it's Sunday what is it?
It's the 14th.
14th today.
Yeah.
So this week there's been a lot going on in the world, and it's had me like reflecting on things. So on Wednesday the 10th was when Charlie Kirk got assassinated, which for me I was very heartbroken with. So my brain's just been thinking about that all week. Not in a depressing way, but in a reflection way and a sorrowful way. But it's led me to reflect on some lessons of the importance of free speech and the importance of being courageous in your free speech and what you stand for. regardless of the, I guess, hate that will come towards you and things along these lines. So for me, it's like a reminder or a lesson of courage, and God bless that man and his family during this time. But for me, it's a lesson and a reminder of do not let fear quieten your voice. So one of my clients, she loves this quote, and it's speak even when your voice shakes. And what that means is even when you're afraid to say something, say it. Say it. Now, obviously, there's times and places to know like context and things along these lines about what to say and what not to say and whatever. But I think the main learning lesson for me is, okay, even after such a horrific event that shook a lot of the world, and I think the learning lesson is not to shut up about what the world needs to hear and what is true. And like even you and I, like last Friday, so the Friday before it happened, I just shot a message to you saying, hey, I've got an idea, which obviously I got from consuming Charlie's content for however long I'd been watching it for, like a year or whatever it is, saying, here's a good idea. Bouncing it back and forth between you, and we can talk about that, whatever, is let's go to universities maybe, because that's where young people are. Set up literally this podcast setup we have now. Maybe you and I are sharing a microphone, that table's there, there's a microphone over here, and we have a sign saying, come up to us, have a conversation ask us anything about addiction or ask us anything about self-improvement. And then when I received this news, I actually heard it on the radio on Wednesday morning. There was this shot of fear that was like, Calum and I should abort mission and not do that. Because there was this fear of, oh, what if that happens to me? But then again, we're not talking about anything political, really. So, but then again, let's say that we were. The message would not be to abort mission. It's, okay, say what you stand for even when your voice shakes. So like the learning lesson is, it's one of courage and I guess not pride, but security in I will be okay no matter what is happening, no matter what happens. And that requires
That's faith. A powerful mindset. That's a really powerful mindset.
And that requires faith in something greater than you. So deep reflective learning lessons.
I've recently been really repeating in my mind that I'm the master of my own fate. I've really been repeating that. I'm the master of my own fate.
What does that mean?
Well, to me, I think especially Monday, I was almost letting things... I was like, I wasn't thinking before I spoke. And it caused me to almost react out of a place of habit, I think. And those habits were not, and this is kind of me exploring this right now, so I haven't really fully formed thought yet, but just hear me out with it. I think I was reacting from a place that was almost a subconscious. I was speaking from a place of the subconscious, and I don't necessarily agree with what was coming out of that, because my subconscious was speaking out and saying, no, my partner, this is your problem. You need to fix this and that. And it was my unconscious mind that was going, I don't want to deal with this. And I'm going to put it onto someone else. And there's almost like another layer to that, which is me going, I'm not worthy of this. I am going to stop. I'm going to push this person away. And my subconscious was doing that, and it wasn't letting me fight. I think a lot of my life I've backed away from a fight. And even though like at school you have your tiffs and things, but I was never a very confident person. I was never
not very confrontational.
Not very confrontational, yeah. And I was very much a people pleaser, which is one of the main reasons why I spent so much of my past years improving myself.
And also before that, like it's probably similar to me, like partying and all these things. Yeah.
Trying to run away from that, run away from the fight. I was running away from the fight for fucking years. And now I've gotten to the point in my life where I'm actually faced with a decision like, okay, I can either stand up for myself here or I can continue to follow my unconscious direction. It's similar to a quote that you've always said: "A ship with no sails has like no direction." What is that one?
It's a ship that doesn't know which harbor it's trying to go to, or a ship with no destination with the harbor. Like if the ship doesn't know which harbor it's going to, no wind is favorable.
No wind is favorable. I love that.
Yeah.
And so when I say I'm the master of my own fate, it's like, okay, for me, that means I'm actually going to start fighting for what I believe in, which is, as I started to do more in my own business and things, I've started to naturally just start to be more, not necessarily confrontational, but not taking as much, or being a bit more choosy in how I spend my time and who I spend my time with. Like, I value spending time with you.
Bro, of course, yeah.
Lots.
This is one of the most important things someone ever has to go through, is just being ruthless, not in a bitch or boss bitch or a dick way, but it's like you do just have to be ruthless of these people, no more.
Yeah.
These things, no more.
Like,
These
dude,
thoughts, no more.
I was at this table. I was out for dinner with some friends the other day, and my friend brought another mate that I hadn't seen. I didn't know. And he was sitting at the table and he was talking about, like, there's this guy that he knows he goes out with, he's super rich, and he has like this relationship with his girlfriend, and he's allowed to like sleep with his girlfriend, but he's also allowed to sleep with other women. But the girlfriend is not. And he was like, oh, that's like such a good life and everything. I'm sitting there like, I'm never spending another minute with you again.
Just a complete...
Like, I'm your thoughts and what you believe and your mindset is dangerous to me. Now, I'm protecting myself. I'm standing up for what I believe in by not spending another minute with you.
Yep.
And I think it's almost like, yes, you should have free speech like what you were saying there before, and people should be allowed to speak their truth, and 100%. But I also think that one of the things that Charlie stood up for is words have power.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I respected about his philosophy, and I'm so glad that you brought it up, one of his philosophies was that when people stop talking.
Bro, yeah.
Do you know it?
I've seen this quote posted all day. I don't know the exact quote, but I've seen this quote all week.
Well, it's when people stop talking.
That's when violence happens.
That's when violence happens.
Yeah. And his whole philosophy was, I'm coming to these places not to prove people wrong or to like shut people down with my conversations. It's to have conversations so that people can come to this middle ground or agree to disagree or blah 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 blah, which like our generation is very bad at doing for whatever reason, because
they're scared of confrontation.
Yeah,
man.
And it's a victim mindset,
and we don't know what we believe in. So how are we supposed to stand up for it?
Yeah, we're a faithless generation, a generation that has people please, which means we push down what we actually value in order to conform. And I guess like my learning lesson, basically to sum it up there, was basically, okay, know what you stand for, your values, and unapologetically uphold them. Do not say sorry for what you believe in. Now, obviously, if you're proved with evidence that persuades you in a different way, that's logical.
But open-mindedness.
Be open-minded.
Absolutely.
But if there's something that is like concrete, like be open-minded without being a people pleaser, and be ruthless in your upholding your values without being violent or a dick about it. So there's things I probably agree with that you don't agree with, and there might be like some small values that we might have a slight difference, and that would not end our friendship.
That's not going to stop us from having incredibly useful conversations.
Exactly.
With each other.
And as we've talked about in a past episode, is even times when we have disagreed, we've found that we're probably talking about a similar thing, but it's a different perspective, and we probably do agree on some terms, and it's whatever. So,
but it's having that conversation, being able to actually explore and discover that we are actually quite in alignment with each other. but maybe we're just using different words that mean different things to each other.
Yeah, and I think a sad thing about our generation, the world we currently live in, which is a result, I would say, of cancel culture and all of these things, is as soon as lots of people disagree with some things, instead of having that conversation, they're labeled as something, and it's just like a shutdown. It's a like a threat or an insult is just thrown straight away when there's a disagreement or there's someone's going against what's popular or normal. There's an insult thrown straight away to shut them up, rather than one of my favorite quotes is seek to understand, not to be understood. Or seek to understand before being understood. So it's okay, this person has a different opinion to me that I probably might never ever agree with, but let me see if I can understand how they got to that opinion. Then maybe I might develop some compassion for them. Not compassion for their view, but compassion for them. And what this requires us, and we've talked about this means we have to understand that we are not our thoughts, we are not our actions, we are not whatever. Our value is separate from those things. This is a complete tangent. We haven't even started talking about leadership, but it's all interrelated. But I just want to quickly talk about this thing. So we've talked about we're not our thoughts, we're not this, we're not that in previous episodes. So our value is separate to this, which means that's true for other people, which means that you can love someone, you can have compassion for someone, and you can see someone as valuable, as equally valuable as you, even if you don't love their thoughts or you don't love their beliefs. So I think that's a very important thing, because you can love yourself despite your past, despite your thoughts, because you understand that your thoughts are just clothes. They're like clothes. You have them, but you're not them. Same as your actions, same as everything. That's the same for everyone else. Now, that doesn't mean that people's actions and thoughts and things are justified, but you can have compassion for the person. So one thing I like to say is, look, I love you. Like, I agree with that you are valuable, but I don't agree with your thoughts, and that's okay. And that's not a threat. But lots of people would hear that as, if you don't agree with my thoughts, you don't agree with me as a person. And I think that's because our identity is, in today's society, is so attached. Those two things are so attached to each other, and it brings a lot of shame. And then so when you do disagree with someone, it brings a lot of shame to them because their identity is so attached to their thoughts. So like, if I disagree with your thoughts, I disagree with your identity. Or it's like, if Calum disagrees with my thoughts, then he disagrees with my identity and my value, and he doesn't see me as valuable. Where no, Calum sees my thoughts and my value as separate. And I know that, which means that if you were to disagree with me, I know it's nothing personal. It's just your beliefs. And we can still love each other. And let's say one day we departed ways because we had different thoughts. We would still love each other from a distance. Like, there's been, and this is what we're probably going to talk about later with letting go. Like, there's people I've had to let go in life, and people who have let go of me. And this comes back to forgiveness. I love them in my thoughts whenever they come up. Because I understand, like, our thoughts are not our identity or our values or our value as a person, our worth as a person. And a huge chunk of self-improvement, and one of the most painful parts of, you want to say, like, this healing journey, is actually, how can you love someone who hurt you? Or how can you love someone who has different thoughts to you, or thoughts that you would see as dangerous to the world? How can you love these people?
What piece of advice would you give to someone struggling with that?
Well, I would say, first of all, is you realize that, first of all, you have to be able to do that to yourself by realizing that there's a separation between you and your thoughts. So we all have thoughts that we hate that pop up. Some of us, and I would say everyone has had suicidal thoughts before, whether they've been serious or it's just like popped up. It would be easier if I'm not going to say it because YouTube would flag it, but it popped up, but we say no. Like, everyone's had thoughts about, I hate this person, I would probably want to off this person, fuck this person, like, fuck you, whatever. We've all had thoughts we're ashamed of.
I'd say that's probably the most accurate part of that, is that we've definitely all had thoughts we're ashamed of, and I think...
And scary thoughts.
Yeah, scary thoughts, things that almost don't seem like us.
Yeah. So to answer your question is, well, if we realize that we can have compassion even in our really dark thoughts, because we've even probably had thoughts that we're ashamed of, like, someone's hurt us and we now realize that the thoughts we're having towards those people is probably not reflective of who we want to be. we can have that same thought process to other people because we realize, okay, Calum's value, let's say Calum's beliefs are completely different to mine in a way that really makes my life very difficult. Like, let's say what you stand for makes my life difficult. First of all, that's not in my control, so I'd focus on what's in my control. Don't let that affect me, really. But second of all, I would say, well, instead of fuck Calum, maybe it's fuck Calum's beliefs, but not fuck Calum. You know, like you can disagree, you can really stand firmly against a certain belief or certain ideology or a certain philosophy while still loving the people who believe those things because they are still humans. We are all equal in value. We're all created equal. As you say, we are all part of that one apple. You like to use that energy of if you cut up an apple, each piece of the apple is still apple. It's still from the same apple.
It's still that apple.
It's still that apple.
A piece.
And we all come from this same source.
I think to build on that source.
You can probably sum it for me.
That source. Well, I've been reading a book and I've actually brought it to do to include in our quote section today. It's called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, and he speaks about the world, the earth plane, as in basically intelligence units. So I think a lot of the time you and I are reading different books, and in these different books, I'm not sure if this actually rings true for you, but I've discovered in all the different self-help books that people have different understandings or descriptions for what source is, right? So you got source, which is essentially, and ask ChatGPT if you want to, but ChatGPT literally came to the conclusion that it is most probable that there is like a god or a source or something. There was
the guy who had the highest IQ in the world came to that conclusion as well. So
literally the most probable cause of life as we know it is due to some sort of source.
Some force, some entity that is in control of all of this thing.
Something that predated was the prerequisite to all of this. The life, the world that we know. The most plausible conclusion for all of that is that there is a God out there. Now, if you call it God, if you call it source, or as Napoleon calls it, intelligence units and things, the way he described it was the only difference between me and this water bottle or this grass is the number of intelligence units inside it. Now, I thought that was quite interesting. And it really
source code.
Yeah, it almost just like I am made of the same stuff as this. And we are. We've got the atom and all of this. We are the same thing, which is crazy.
Just expressed slightly different.
But we, as like Napoleon talks about it, we're just a different collection of intelligence units. So I'm not sure if that actually resonates. Maybe if that's the one that hits it for you or something. But the piece of grass over here and myself are made of the exact same stuff. And so that means I'm made as the same as you. And so if I was to look at you and say you have no value, I'm saying that I have no value because I'm the same as you.
Yeah, and that's the thought that just popped into my head when you talk about the grass. It's what we give to others, we give to ourselves. So when you do hurt someone else, because we are from the same apple, you're hurting that same apple, so you're hurting you. So that's a cool way to understand why a thought process is, okay, how can you see this other person as yourself?
How can you separate your disagreement in what they believe in their thought and seeing them as valuable regardless?
Yeah, like even Christ said, love your neighbor as yourself, which obviously no human will ever be able to do in the entirety of their life. We will all slip up, of course. That's just human nature.
Well, that's why we're here.
That's why we're here. It's not about trying to be perfect, as you said, as you realized your learning lesson. It's not about trying to be perfect.
It's exhausting. That's why.
Perfection is exhausting.
Perfection is absolutely exhausting.
Because you will never get it.
And it's not fulfilling.
Yeah, because you will hurt people. We will all hurt people.
Also, perfectionism, say you're going to be perfect. What happens when you're perfect?
Yeah.
What do you do? Like, what's the point of anything? And that's another question. It's like it's that constant working towards things. I've been watching Yellowstone a lot. I get a lot of I have this belief that you can find wisdom wherever you look.
Yep.
Wherever you look.
That's such a strong belief, and I believe that too.
I literally just looked at this piece of grass. And like I can see wisdom for that by seeing that as me, right? There was this story I read one time, and it said the wise man said that one day you will look around and you will hear the birds singing. You will hear the wind in the tree and think, I am that. You'll hear a car driving along, I am that. And then you'll have everything around you, and then you become part of it. And it's like all this non-duality.
Hey, actually, I just saw a random thing popped up on Instagram, and I think it's like the Indian monks. What are they called? Gurus or whatever.
Guru.
Maybe it was the Dalai Lama or someone like one of those.
It's Tibetan, isn't he?
Yeah,
Dalai Lama.
It was someone from that region of the globe said that when a child first sees a bird, they see a bird, but then as soon as the adult tells them that that is a bird, it is now no longer a bird. Like the awe of a bird is gone. And basically what that's mean is as soon as you label something, the awe of it or the love of it disappears. So basically it's saying, what you're saying there is like realizing that I am connected with everything. And then as soon as we label something as other or different, it's like the love of that's gone or the awe of it is gone. I think that's what that quote was trying to say, because I went into the comments and people saying this is what it means.
Yeah, I think that's from what it sounds like. It's concentrating on not immediately trying to label something and immediately going, okay, that's that. I was trying to judge everything so quickly.
Yeah, see if you can just sit and observe the beauty for a little while or just see the creation in front of you without trying to figure it out straight away. Let creation just be for a period of time, and then we can put our human brains on top of it and try and figure it out and logicize things. But sometimes, which is why one thing that you and I love most is why we come to these nature things, because we can just sit here and just be in creation.
This is what I love about Yellowstone, is that they don't watch TV in that show. Like, they don't watch TV. They just sit when they're not working. They're sitting outside on the front porch. They're just sitting there.
Yeah, observing the beauty around them.
They're just observing the beauty around them. And one of the beautiful things, one of the philosophies that these people live by is they live with the land, not on the land. And I was like, oh my God. So much of what they talk about is so relatable to me in ways. And I think it's so traditional, but so full of truth, because they speak about the land being God, you know? And Chernobyl, that town that the nuclear plant blew up in, this has come up in a few conversations for me recently, but this town blew up, the nuclear plant blew up, and then it was deemed inhabitable. There was a nature documentary, David Attenborough, he spoke about it, and he took you to Chernobyl. And that place is a natural heaven now. It is green, it's nature, it's animals, it's everything. And to me, that is a clear sign of what living on the land can do. It's living on the land and not living with it. And
you mean living with it, not on it?
Yeah, you want to. That is the sign of living on it instead of with it. Because the land, or as in Yellowstone they refer to it as God, will always win. Nature, the forces of nature is so far, vastly more powerful than we are, even though our minds will try and tell us differently, that we can blow up a whole city with a nuclear plant, but then the trees will regrow. They will come back. Us as a human civilization, we can destroy ourselves. We so often see like, I don't know how the next generation is going to survive. There's going to be World War III. The whole planet's going to blow up. We're going to have to move planets. All of that stuff. We can do that, but nature will always win. It's always coming back every single time. And I just think that kind of helps you to see or think about the insignificance of us.
Yeah, sometimes we worry too much. Actually, a quote from the Bible. I know we're talking about God a lot, but I don't care anymore. But there's a quote from the Bible basically says, even your even your failures are going to be blessed. And, that requires faith to believe that, of course. You don't have to believe that, but I believe that. And basically that goes into what you're saying, like Chernobyl, huge failure on humans' part. The land is now fruitful. It's blessed.
The land wins. Yeah.
The land's blessed. Like, no matter what you do, blessing will come from it. So sometimes we do have to just not care so much about failing, because even our failures will be blessed. Like, God has a plan. And when you hear me say God, if you don't resonate with that word, you can just think of the entity that created everything around you and that allowed you to live and created you and created everything around you. You don't have to think about this like religious figure that...
Because God is not religious.
God is not religious.
Religion is religious.
Religion is religion.
God is. Like universal, the source, creator, whatever you want to say. As we said, science literally told us that the most plausible outcome for us being here, or the most plausible cause of us being here, is a source.
Yeah.
And source is not religious.
Source is not religion. Yeah.
Like, that just is. It's what the energy that wakes you up in the morning. It's the energy that creates a tree to grow, that turns from a little seed into a tree, that creates us as human beings, allows us to intertwine with each other and create life. Like the force, the intelligence units, whatever you want to label it as, that is undeniable. That there is power there, however you want to refer that or think about it. And it's actually extremely useful, and it's definitely something for us to touch on. And what I said there, it's more the insignificance of us. We are part of it. We are part of all of this world, all of this creation. We are part of this force. And it's an absolute blessing, like you said, to be in this world, to be experiencing it. To be out here, to have the problems that we have. One of my clients sends me messages all the time, and she has this beautiful mindset. She sends me messages and it's like, be grateful for the fact that you had to get up for work today. Be grateful for the fact that you have a job to get up for. Be grateful that you have a disagreement. You have a family member to disagree with.
Yeah, you have, like for you, it's like be grateful for the fact that you have a partner to go through a challenge with. Like, that's just such a strong mindset change that you obviously have.
Yeah.
That someone could see this as, oh, fuck, like, this is the end.
And it's not all about you, and it's a wonderful thing to let go of the fact that it's not all about you. Like, that is a very uncomfortable space to be in when all of your problems they're all your fault, they're all your problem, they're all your thing. You are part of this bigger picture. And one of my friends, he's not spiritual. He wouldn't call himself spiritual, but he is. Because he goes and looks out at the stars and he thinks in his mind about how we are this speck on a tiny little planet in an enormous galaxy. And when you think about things that way, and now my wallpaper on my PC from this is like a photo of the Earth taken from outer space. Because when you think about it that way, your problems that you're going through your life, not that I'm not discrediting them. And that's not the purpose of what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that even your failures will be blessed.
Yeah, and it's allowing you to zoom out so you realize, okay, yes, what I'm going through right now is a challenge and it's a problem. But even if for whatever reason I fuck it up, or I don't figure it out, in the grand scheme of things, zooming out to the point where I can see the world as this speck, is this going to matter? Is this really going to matter? And then with this source, which I call God personally, has a plan, has it all figured out, has you figured out. You will never beat it. Men have tried throughout history to be God, but you can't be the source of creation. and you can't beat the source of creation. But you can trust that the source of creation has everything under control, which for me at least brings me a lot of peace. Lots of things have brought me peace and a lot of peace. But once I started understanding God, which for those listening, you can just think the source of creation, the thing that created everything. Once I started understanding that, not even understanding it, but appreciating it and having trust in it, that even my failures will be blessed and I will be okay no matter what, because everything's already sorted out. Doesn't mean I don't show up. It's like, okay, even if I fail, even if I fuck up, it's all good. It just brings you 10 times more peace. Because like I've meditated for a long time, journaled for a long time, gratitude for a long time, all the things we talked about last week for a long time, and they bring you so much peace. And then it's like you add faith on top of that. It's hard to be thrown off center, but you still do get thrown off center, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, all of what we're talking about now contributes significantly to being able to remain composed.
Especially in places of leadership. All of what we've been speaking about, having the thought of, just do a quick comparison with me, having the thought of there is a plan and it is all figured out, versus I'm completely lost, there's... Like it's all up to me.
It's all up to me. Like I've got all this responsibility. The weight of the world is on my shoulders. I have to figure it out. If I don't figure it out, I'm doomed. That thought pattern, those thoughts, versus there is a plan. It is all going to be okay. Even my failures are blessed. That is when you are using your mind as a tool. Like what we were saying before, that separation between us as a being and our thoughts, like thoughts being clothes that we wear. Our thoughts are a tool, and it's a very key aspect of being able to remain composed, because composure is rooted in emotional stability and mindset and what you think. And so being able to separate those two from yourself is crucial for being able to remain composed. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are I 100% agree. 100% agree. And it just goes back to you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, you're not any of these things. And that is a pinnacle for staying composed.
Do you have any situations or experiences in your life that you would like to discuss in regards to learning how to maintain composure?
Learning how to maintain composure. Well, I used to lifeguard.
And lifeguard. Okay.
Lifeguard. Pool lifeguard, not surf lifeguard. Yeah, so in a center. And
lifeguard nonetheless.
Nonetheless. So not as hectic, but still important.
You're guarding life.
Guarding life. You're really responsible for people. Fun fact, if someone dies, it's $1 billion gone.
$1 billion.
$1 billion. Well, it's either $1 million or $1 million or
million is way too cheap.
It's one of them. It's $1 billion in terms of like lawsuits and legal things and payouts if someone was to die in a center.
There's a value on life. That's what it's telling me.
Value of life.
Wow.
Well, there is no value on life, but in terms of monetary,
but they've put a dollar figure on that.
They've put a dollar figure on it. So yeah.
But you're a lifeguard.
Lifeguard. And obviously going there, every day you're faced with the possibility of, I might need to do something. And, you know, I lifeguarded for like 3 years, and I probably only had to do one, like rescue or run thing. I never actually had to jump in the pool. The only real things I had to do is lots of elderly people go to centers, and sometimes they'd have episodes or seizures or things along these lines, and you just have to attend to it. And lifeguarding actually did two things for me. So when you're lifeguarding, you're basically watching an area of a pool for around half an hour, and then you rotate to the next position or the next pool, blah, blah, blah. And that's basically the basic reason for that is so that you're having novelty, so that you're not really falling asleep. Your focus is staying sharp. and things like that. But it's only you in that area. And you're not really supposed to talk to anyone else. You're not really supposed to talk to a customer that comes up. If they have a question, you keep it as short as you can so that you can focus on the pool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if it's going to be long, you get someone to come and watch the pool for you, things along these lines. So really, because you're not really allowed to talk to someone and it's only you at the pool, you spend a lot of time just you and your thoughts. And that's one thing I did end up loving a lot about lifeguarding. So you'd be standing there for 4 hours, you and your thoughts.
Wow.
Also faced with the possibility that I might need to just like jump in right now and someone's life is on my life.
You're on. But
you're focused.
Also,
and you're very composed.
It sounds like it would have really done you a lot of good.
It actually did.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. I would look forward to shifts because one reason I'd look forward to shifts is because I'd learn something during the day and then I'd be able to like meditate on it for 4 hours. So I remember during a point of time, I was learning a lot about diabetes and the ketogenic diet, which like you can have opinions on that. I don't really participate it like a little bit, but I was learning a lot about diabetes and fasting and all this stuff. And then I just remembered like I just like think about it all day. Like I'd watch a podcast on it beforehand and then for 4 hours I'd just like understand it for like 4 hours until I understood. And then eventually like I started getting to self-improvement and then I'd think about self-improvement stuff for 4 hours because I'd be learning about self-improvement and then I'd just be thinking about it for 4 hours because the maximum shift you can have is 5 hours and the average is 4. So you just be walking around the pool thinking about whatever you think about for 4 hours and then it's an opportunity to come to peace with lots of things that's going on in your mind. So
an opportunity to come to peace with what's going on in your mind.
Yeah. So
let's just hold on, just to spend 2 seconds.
You want to think about that?
No. Just tell me more about what that means to you because
what that means to me
is very important for our listeners to hear.
So basically, I could view meditation right now, I could view lifeguarding right now, reflecting on it in this present moment as lifeguarding was me practicing meditation.
Sounds like it.
With the knowledge I have now, that's what it was. Because that taught me how to develop peace with my mind.
Whoa.
And then this leads to composure.
Yes.
Because for me, I had no other option because I can't speak to anyone. You can't yap on the radio. You can't do anything else but watch the pool. So that's focusing on something and deal with your mind.
And you were assuming the role of protector as well.
Protector. Yeah,
which is very
masculine.
Leadership based as well.
And very leadership based. And obviously people look up to you and in directions of whatever's happening. And when I was younger, I had certain leadership roles in school and all those things, but I never really took them up. So obviously in school, you're like given leadership positions like house captain and all these things. And I had like certain positions, but then I'd realize like other students, other mates, they'd actually walk into that role with confidence. Like they'd actually, like I'd just have the badge, but I'd never actually be the leader, if that makes sense.
Well, I'm just going to ask you a personal question, if that's okay.
Go. I love personal questions.
Why do you think you were the one that was given the badge? Why do you think people or whoever had the opportunity or responsibility for assigning that badge gave it to you?
Because maybe they could see that I could have led, but maybe I couldn't see it.
Thank you. Which
is why maybe I didn't step into that or I didn't embrace it.
Okay.
And we all have the ability and the capability to lead. Everyone does.
But they could see it in you.
Maybe they could, or maybe like me reflecting on it, if I'm an adult I might give a leadership role to someone who's not as confident, because that might give them the opportunity to become confident or to see themselves as a leader. And that's a very loving thing to do for a child.
Very loving,
you know? And like with everything that's happened this week in the world, like I've had a lot of compassion for children.
Yeah.
And my thoughts today is, like, I'm not a father, but when I see a child, it's through, or when I think about children, it's through the lens of fatherhood. And I think, okay, if there is, like me reflecting right now, if there is a child who is not confident or a child who's struggling with something, I want to give them as much belief as possible that they are who God sees them as, or who this creation, the source of creation, sees them as, which is complete love.
And the same as you.
Same as you. Yeah, complete love. 100%, man. Like perfect. Complete perfect. And this goes back to what we were saying before. How can you see people that you hate as perfect? Not their ideas as perfect, but just them. And them created perfect. Like God created them perfect. And maybe they've developed ideas from the world that's been imposed onto them that we don't agree with, but them at their essence is beautiful and perfect. And that's the hardest belief to uphold, and I fail at that all the time. And we all will.
We all do.
We all will.
We all do. And oftentimes it is trying to make ourselves or relieve ourselves of pain. Like, for instance, hating someone. And this has to do with composure as well, because it is something that we need to overcome. Letting go of hating someone is the most freeing and liberating thing you can do for yourself. And the reason that is because by hating someone, you are hating them. And I think we've spoken about this before, but you're hating, but it's definitely worth repeating. And I'll tie it into composure. If you're hating someone and you need to work with that person, especially if you need to lead them, your hate for them, your emotional state of mind will significantly affect your ability to rationalize and make the best decision for the whole, which is your responsibility as a leader. It will affect your ability to remain composed because you are giving into your emotions. By hating someone, you are significantly disabling your ability or hindering your ability to be able to lead. And it goes back to what we were saying, that it's all to do with understanding your emotions and your thoughts as being separate. We speak about this a lot, but we tie it into composure because I would say very confidently that it has affected us both massively. Being able to, like what you've been saying before, being given opportunities to lead in the past. You were given those opportunities, yes, and it might have been because you were a born leader. It might have been because you're the person responsible for assigning that badge, saw that they could give you an opportunity to step up. And you might have taken that opportunity then, but it might have also given you a little bit of belief in the fact that you could do that. Because now you literally live a life of a leader. You literally are putting things out there. You are sitting with me right now, talking about things for the benefit of other people. And if that is not leadership, I don't know what is.
Can I tell you something cool?
Of course you can.
And I want you to do this one day. Like, do it tonight, and do it with your partner. I don't know if you've shared her name on here, but do it with her. It's like a really cool exercise. Do you know what etymology means?
No, I actually don't.
It's basically the study of the meaning of words. So, and you can do this for names. So Calum, the word Calum would have a meaning. the word marshal would have a meaning. And I was just curious because I was listening to a podcast and the person who I was listening said the etymology of their last name and like what it meant. And like they believe it has some meaning. Like, okay, the source of creation would have given you a specific name for a reason. And I just looked at the etymology of my name and it meant something. Then I looked at the etymology of my partner's name and it meant something. And it really actually very beautifully came together, which made me very happy.
Well, tell me more, please.
I just want the etymology of my name. So Christian means follower of Christ. That's what it means. Like it's got to do with faith. One of my middle names, which is my father's name, Nick or Nicola, had something to do with leader of the people. Or I can't remember exactly what it is. It's on my phone, but I can't check it now. It's like a leader of the people or someone who delivers the people. And then my other middle name is my mother's maiden name, which means like a hammer. And then my last name, Ranieri, I think Nick means like hope for people. And then Ranieri, my last name, meant something again to do with like courage and through leadership or like hope for the people, something along those lines. So then like for me, that's like, oh, okay, so
there's a lot of very leadership-based aspects.
Maybe that's why in recent years I've tried to step into like this leadership position with coaching, because maybe like etymologically, if that's a word, there's some meaning behind it.
Well, there's a universal unconscious that like Carl Jung speaks about, which is like a collection of, I'm not going to nail this description, but I'll give it a hot crack. It's almost like us as a people have been growing for a very long time and we've got different beliefs and different things that have all been passed down.
Yep.
Right? And so even though you as a person might not logically think, okay, because I'm Christian, I need to be following Christ. I need to be stepping into that leadership role due to my parents, due to my etymology, due to what my name means. You might not logically be understanding that due to your knowledge base from a worldly level.
But subconsciously
and spiritually, you as a person and society would be almost pushing you in that direction as a natural consequence of what that has meant to us as a people throughout history.
Yeah, that just piggybacks on God has a plan. And he's just pushing everyone intricately into where they need to go. And I remember we talked about the quote I actually shared last episode was, it's this story about this dude in the Bible called Job. And it basically, God says to him, after taking everything away from him, says, like basically the gist of it is, I have a plan, just trust me. Like this is why the weather is like this on this day, because it needs to for this person and for that to happen, for this to happen. And like you could try and do it, but you would never be able to do it. You could never control it. I could give control over to you, but it's just too intricate for you to control the entire cosmos, entire universe, everything. I don't have the power to do that.
That actually reminded me of something else. And I think, and it's just not quite a fully formed thought yet, so I'm going to speak it out. When it comes to the weather and nature, what it brought up for me was that...
Look at the rabbit.
Again, there we go.
Hello, bugs.
Nature.
Bugs Bunny.
Another bugs. No carrot. That's okay.
Yeah, maybe next time we come here, we should bring some carrots.
Oh my God, we totally could.
Entice them.
So
you were saying
essentially what I was going to say is that in Yellowstone, and yes, I'm referring to Yellowstone again, I think it's fantastic. And what do they talk about? Monica is a descendant of the native Indians, and they speak about how when they're living in the mountains, when there's fire in the mountains, it brings new life.
Yeah, and we know that here in Australia, don't we?
Yeah. And then when they have blizzards over there and they have these really cold winters, it like rehydrates the forest. And so this comes back to what I'm saying in terms of living on the land and living with the land. And this is actually, there's quite a bit to this, because when it comes to a city experiences a fire, fucked. A city experiences blizzard, cold, floods. Fucked. That is all about, that's like living on the land. That's a response of living on the land instead of with it. And then it goes, you can transpose that philosophy and look at yourself and incorporate everything that we've been speaking about so far in this episode in regards to what we were saying. God has a plan.
Yeah, are you living
with the plan? Or are you trying to make your own on top of that plan? And it's the same thing. You can see it manifesting in nature. What we're talking about now, you can see it in everything. Because if, like what we also said, nature is us and we are part of it. I'm part of this grass. I'm part of you. It's the same as nature. It's the same with building these cities on the land and having these natural disasters that come through and cause all of these issues. But when you don't have those cities and you live with the land, or you live with God's plan, or you live with the world around you and you accept it for what it is and you do your best with every situation, you're living with your life.
Yeah. So that's basically surrender. That's what we're talking about there. Are you going to basically say, I want to do my way, or I'm going to surrender to the plan that is God's plan, which is the one that is beneficial for everyone?
Because you can't beat it.
You can't beat it. It will happen.
You can do your best and you can be the master of your own fate, and you can do what you want and do what you believe is right. But at the end of the day, you are 100% influenced or impacted and at the mercy of everything going on around you. And that is just something you have to accept.
I want to talk about surrender real quick. So when we think about this term leadership, most of us think about people are surrendering to us. So we're the dominants. And especially as guys, like the masculine's role, saying in the spiritual divine way, there's divine masculine, divine feminine. And the masculine role is to lead. It's more to do with like discipline, leadership, action, achieve, these types of values. Whereas the feminine is more to do with surrender and flow and nurture. More wholeness.
Yeah.
And now when it comes to leadership, yes, people surrender to you. You're in charge. And I think lots of people have this, when they hear the word surrender or dominance, it's a very like triggering word, because lots of us have bad experiences with putting our faith in people because they take advantage of that sometimes. And that's understandable. But when I use the word surrender and dominance, I'm not using it in a way that you're surrendering to someone who doesn't have your best interests in mind. When we're talking about this, let's picture you're surrendering to someone who loves you and would not take advantage of you in those ways, which any loving relationship would be built on that. So let's say there is someone in leadership, whether it's a man or a woman, doesn't matter, but just someone's in leadership. And that means the people around them are surrendering to them. They're trusting that person to lead. They're trusting that person's plan. Now, what that leader needs to do in order to not become this tyrant, in order to not become this person who goes against the best interests of the group or whoever they're leading, is they also need to surrender. They need to surrender their own ideas to the benefit of the group. They need to surrender their own beliefs or their own. See, the rabbit's loving this conversation. They're coming closer. They're entrenching. As a leader, you need to surrender your own desires to the people you're leading. So you and I, in relationships, we have to surrender our own desires for other women so that we can love our partner, our woman. We have to surrender those things. We have to surrender those thoughts. We cannot be at the mercy of them. We have to surrender. We have to give them up. So as a leader, you have to surrender your desires and actually be of service. This is actually something my school, the thing is now reflecting, 7 years since I've been in school, you actually do develop some gratitude or understanding of what I was being taught. When we were in year 11 and 12 and all these things, we were learning about this thing called servant leadership, because I went to a Christian school or Catholic school. So lots of the teachings were based around Christ and things along those lines. And his style of leadership was a service-based leadership rather than a tyrant style leadership. It was about, okay, I'm leading you, but my leadership is based on serving you, like doing the best for your interests. And that's what I'm talking about with surrender. So when you are a leader, the way, and obviously I'm not perfect at this. I'm just telling you what I know in terms of knowledge. Is the way to be the best leader is to be someone of service to the people you're leading, rather than someone who is, okay, yes, you're in control of them, but you're not in control of them in a toxic way. In a
tyrannic way.
In a tyrannic way or manipulative way. Exactly. So being
because don't think about dictatorship, tyrannic, that is a place of selfishness.
It's a place of fear.
Yeah.
And all these things. So so when it comes to leadership, you do have to surrender yourself. So you're above them because you're leading them, but you're also below them because you're serving them. So that's surrender, but you're still the leader. It's like back and forth, but we can understand what we're saying here. And then
but you're serving and leading them from a place of service, which ultimately has their best interest at heart.
It's like a wolf pack. The leader's at the back. The leader of the pack.
Really? I didn't know that.
The alpha is at the back. So this is like the structure of a wolf pack is at the front. I think at the front are the strongest. Then in the middles, it goes the weakest, then the least weakest, then the weak. And then the alpha's at the back. So I think the beta is probably at the front, which is like second in charge. Then the alpha's at the back because the beta is actually the strongest. The alpha is more just the brains. And you see this in history. You think about most leaders. So anyone who's a leader is the alpha. Alpha just means number one, the first, the person in charge.
That secretary. The secondary.
So you think about just like all the politics you can see, like lots of them just look like pussies. Like they don't look like what we would call an alpha male. Some of them do. Like you think about someone like Napoleon, he was really small, really short. Like all these people, whether they were good or bad leaders in terms of history, they weren't like big brute people. Maybe they were in the way they powered through their tongue or the way they spoke. But alpha just means number one. So in a wolf pack, they lead from behind. They lead at the back because they can see everything and they make sure no one's left behind, essentially. But yeah, that's servant leadership. So leadership requires you to serve, and to be a great leader, you do have to, I would say, surrendering to a greater plan. And sometimes our own plans are flawed. So surrendering to, I would say, God's plan for me, which is easier said than done, way easier said than done, because our way is much more comfortable, of course. But
what do you mean by our way is much more comfortable?
It's less scary.
Is it?
Short term. It's less scary short term.
Yeah.
So our way is, I'm not going to talk to this person I love, friend, family, blah, 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 because it's scary. So I'm just going to sweep it.
It's confrontational.
It's confrontational. I'm going to sweep it on the carpet.
And that will make everything better.
But in the long run, it won't.
No, it does not.
No. But the better way, the servant leadership way, what a leader does, going back to composure, fear is there. Of course, you won't get rid of fear. So what you do is you become composed, you deal with the anxiety of the fear, and you step into courage, which is acting when there's fear, it's speaking when your voice shakes, and you have that conversation.
Yeah.
Which requires you to understand that, okay, I'm about to have a hard conversation now. I might fuck it up.
Yep.
I will be okay. Even my fuck-ups are blessed.
Or you'll learn from the fuck ups, like I did earlier
and
this
then
week.
that's the blessing.
Like the fucking lesson at the start.
Yeah.
That backing away from those conversations. Now I know that like what I did was wrong, but I know it's wrong because I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you were saying there, what you were saying before, even your failures are blessed. And understanding that the failures are blessed, all you have to do is have the courage to be able to make that failure. And you can start small. So if we were to maybe go into a bit more of a practical conversation
let's do practical.
about how to remain composed. I know I use a lot of there's like breath work techniques. There are ways in which you can formulate your life around emotional stability and being able to maintain a solid state of mind and state of emotions. But all of those things are helping you build towards being able to be presented with a situation in which you might fail and continue on. Like what you said, speak even when your voice is wavering.
Which is really hard to do, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like one of the greatest secrets, if you're looking for more composure, if you want to take more leadership over your life, if you want to lead yourself more, fail. Fail. And what I mean by fail is learn. Is go into the situations in which you are unsure. You don't know what you're doing. Things that are scary. And you can start off really small. I don't know, maybe going into like a scary house, like one of those attractions at like a carnival or something like that. Maybe that's something you do. Or maybe going for a run is scary. Maybe sitting in the car with no music is scary. Maybe having a conversation with someone and sitting in silence, and when that conversation goes silent for a minute, you don't leave. Maybe that's scary. All of these different things that you can do to practice in your daily life will contribute very much so towards you being able to maintain a state of composure and lead yourself and others.
Yeah, what you talk about there is basically practicing courage, like making courage a practice. So when this comes to leadership, it's so important because what basically you're saying there is we need to lead ourselves first. And what I was saying earlier, and I want you to really listen to this, is everyone is a leader. Everyone has the capacity and the ability to be a leader. And you don't have to be a world level leader. You could just be the leader of your family. You could be the leader of whoever you influence at work or in your sports team or your friendship group, or just a leader. Now, that doesn't mean you're number one and you rule everyone and everyone's fuck everyone else. I'm the leader. It's just you step into positions of leadership when people need to be led. People going astray, you lead them back. And that's what it is. And everyone does that. Everyone can do that. And I think it's everyone's responsibility to do that. Now, where we can, where we need to, we step into the values and whatever we need to do, we step up for that. And that's leadership. Now, if we want to think practical, as you said, and that could be a good way to wrap up the leadership conversation, and we could probably leave letting go for another time, maybe. But we can talk practical. So what we should do now is, okay, I've identified leadership's important, and I can be a leader. Everyone can be a leader. I might not want to be a world-level leader, but I want to have dominion over my life. I want to be in control of my life. I want to be a leader in my life. At least lead myself.
And what does that mean? Like,
what does that mean? And how do we do it? The most important...
Manage your thoughts, manage your emotions.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah. So first of all, what we want to do is, first of all, we want to build, as you're basically saying there, is proof that we can lead or proof that we are courageous. So
prove to ourselves.
Prove it to ourselves. So basically what that means is, okay, maybe you do just start speaking your mind. Even if that means people start hating you.
Or Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk. And then through that, yeah, you're probably going to say some stuff that's maybe you should not have said. But how do you learn where that like threshold is or where to stop? By crossing it. Then you learn, okay, maybe that was too far. And then
one step backwards, two steps forward.
Yeah, exactly. And you could go into positions of leadership by leading yourself. Okay. We talked about this last episode, cold showers every morning. you don't want to do it.
But that's why we do it, and that's why it's useful.
But it's your responsibility to lead yourself to do it, because when you walk into the shower, you're standing under there, and I do this every morning, or I haven't in the past week, but
I've actually been getting back into it.
Yeah, I haven't for the past week because of health reasons, but I had to have an operation on my foot, FYI, and not allowed to get it wet. So going in there, you don't want to do it. And then your responsibility is to lead yourself to turn the tap on. And that's basically what leadership is, like doing that.
And I really love that you brought up the cold showers, because we so often speak about meditation. We speak about affirmations. We speak about reading good things. We speak about cold showers. These habits, or like doing things without music and eating healthy, training, not like staying sober in social situations. We speak about all of these different things. Now, I think there's a common misconception that those things, you are required to do those things in order to be happy or live a happy life. No, you're not required to do those things, but what they do is they help accelerate your progress towards courage, like what we've been saying. What they do they are tools, because you get into that shower in the morning and you turn that cold water on, which you don't want to do because you know it's going to be a shock to the system. It's going to be uncomfortable. But when you do it anyway, that is proving to yourself, like what we've been saying, that you can. And then similar to that situation, when you get in a equally comfortable situation, like maybe having to stand up for something that you believe in, you know that you can do uncomfortable things.
I think a really cool thing is what you guys listening will probably notice, and what you've probably heard everywhere. You know, you guys probably have listened to many other podcasts, read many books, just seen stuff on Instagram, is there's probably like 5 habits everyone talks about, and you're probably sick of hearing of them. And you and I, we basically just talk about the same things to do in your life, like meditate, cold shower.
Because they are incredibly useful.
But the reason, yeah, exactly, they're incredibly useful. But then like every time you hear about it, you're hearing us talk about it from a different reason why to do it. And it's giving you a different perspective and different lens. So what it is, it's not like the thing that improves you isn't the habit. It's more why you're doing the habit, or your understanding of what this habit is going to do. So if I was to go and tell this person who's riding his bike past on this track right now, go do cold showers, it'll improve your life.
Why?
He'll go do cold showers, and he might stop after 2 weeks and be like, well, nothing's really happened. I don't understand what's going on. But you guys who've maybe listened to Calum and I and other things, and maybe other people who might go into the actual reasons as why to do them, you'll have an understanding of, okay, this is what this is actually doing. And it's basically the thing of when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And it's also the placebo effect. It's the reticular activation system. If you know and you believe that me having a cold shower is going to make me more courageous, then guess what that cold shower is going to do? It's going to make you more courageous. If you know it's going to boost your immune system, that's what it's going to do. If you know that it's completely useless and it's just a wank or a fad on social media, that's what it's going to be.
And it's how different people can have different values and live differently with their lives and have completely different results to maybe how it would affect you should you do the same thing. And the way I think about it is you got people that have grown up in families of crime, right? And for them, stealing is survival. Stealing is getting through life. They don't feel bad for it because it is surviving. And it's not in their set of values or their beliefs to feel bad for doing that, because it is something they have to do. And it's service in a way. For me, in my family, we obviously were not in a family of crime. And so stealing, I have a very
big
deep
no-no.
no-no. I have very deep rooted discomfort in doing something like that. And it's the same action, but it's different, done for different reasons, and the beliefs behind it tell the whole story and will affect us so differently.
I want to ask you a question, because you asked me this question and I didn't. The conversation flowed. I didn't get a chance to ask it back to you. But what's your experiences in leadership? And do you have any personal stories you'd like to share that would be beneficial to share?
Okay.
I talked about lifeguarding.
What's that?
Because I talked about lifeguarding and how that led to potentially me becoming more composed and things along those lines.
My experience with leadership has been in my own life and my sobriety journey. I have discovered along this way by making decisions. Now, 2023, I was sitting around a campfire. I was on an LSD trip. It's the end of the year. Having a great time, mind you. VB in my hand. And I said to the boys around me, I said, hey, next year I'm not drinking. They're like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, no, I'm not doing it. It had been brewing in my mind for some time. And that was just the perfect moment.
Was your voice shaking when you said that?
Funnily enough, no.
You'd probably come to peace with it by then.
Funnily enough, no. I was leveraging, and I actually got a video coming out about this soon, but I was leveraging my fear of losing their respect over my fear of, which was more powerful than my fear of going into social situations and not drinking.
Yeah, so it's like you put the fear of losing your respect over the fear of losing their respect. Like your respect for yourself.
Yeah, my respect for myself.
Probably flicked that thing off you, yeah. It probably has a stinger on it.
So the reason I bring that up is at the start, I was doing it so I could lead myself in my life. And I could see that I lived in a share house before that. And when I was living in this share house, I could see how much my actions were affecting the people around me. I could see that I was already a leader in that group, but I wasn't leading this pack well at all. I was condoning very bad behavior, stuff that was not useful, was not healthy, and was not guiding people in a direction where they would live a life of fulfillment. So I made this decision as a way that I could lead myself better. And then in turn, throughout the last year and a half, or almost it's a year and 3 quarters now, I've realized how much of an impact that made on the people around me. I've realized by doing that I was able to, that it wasn't my intention at the time. My intention was just to be able to handle my emotions better, to be able to sit here with a conversation with you and not freak out. It was to be able to go into a social situation and not have to rely on drugs or alcohol just to be able to get by, just to be able to remain there. It wasn't a matter of enjoying myself. It was a matter of remaining there. And I've found and discovered through taking that personal journey, taking that making that change, has then provided, it's almost allowed other people to see themselves as being able to do the same thing. And so now I've got friends that are making positive changes in their lives. They're going, Calum, how do I fix this? How do I do that? How do I do this better? How do I do that? And then when I speak to them as well, they're able to go, okay, it's possible for me because I did it. And that wasn't my intention going into it, but it has provided a sense or a place of authority in a way. And now, like what we were saying before, that's coming from a place of service. It's, hey, try this. Try that. Now, I post online all the time. I'm sitting here with you. I'm utilizing what these things have taught me to try and provide useful service for a generation that I think is severely lost, or like what we were saying, has a lot of issues with faith, with belief in themselves, and they run away from that, from the confrontation, from the uncomfortable conversations through many different outlets. But you and I are in a very wonderful position to be able to speak about these things, and I have become a leader in that space because of the decision to want to live a better life for myself. And that I am very, very grateful for.
That touched me a lot. What you said. In a lot of ways.
I'm grateful. I'm glad. I'm very glad.
I'm glad you shared that. Something that was popping in my mind when you're sharing your journey there was go first, which is what you did. You realized, okay, people looking up to me, they're not going to step into their, improvement journey or whoever they need to be until I go. So it's this sense of don't wait for someone to give you permission to go. Don't wait for someone to give you permission to be you, to be great, to achieve this or go after that. Go.
Yes, man. Yes.
And your story is very similar to mine. Is really like Lifeguard didn't teach me leadership. The place I learned leadership was learning how to lead myself through addiction and through confidence and through these things over. Like I've probably shared, discipline. I might have shared this story, but in 2020 lockdowns, I went through a big breakup and I was in like this dark place for a little while. It wasn't like full on depression, but heartbreak. And then that was like the turning point or the stimulus for me to begin to learn how to really not be a bitch anymore, because I had been a bitch. As I said, I had been put in leadership positions, but too scared to actually take them up.
Yeah, I resonate with that.
Yeah. And then that event was sort of like the turning point where it's like, I need to be the one that goes. It's only me. Only I can do, like, not only I can do this, but it's like, that's where I learned how, okay, I need to lead myself now. And obviously my story is very similar to yours, so I'm not going to.
But what it is and what I'm hearing you saying there is you're making these decisions from a place of, by doing this, the impact is massive.
Because you're not only leading yourself, but...
Yeah, because it's not only making your life better, but the potential for so much good.
Yeah, and what you're saying there is just remind me of, has just given me thoughts on what quote I'll share later, but it's basically along the lines of your leadership gives other people the permission to lead. And like, if you want to talk about Charlie, it's what's happened this week has basically given people permission to speak up about the things they've been afraid to talk about. Because like he went first.
Yeah. And he was a martyr almost.
Yeah, well, he basically is.
Yeah.
A martyr for free speech and discussion and the things he stood for too.
And the fact that he died is a very, very clear example of how much people will try and stop you doing it.
You can't let them.
It's just one of the obstacles and the things that you will face that will help you grow as a person, as a society, which this instance will help us grow if we choose to let it. But you will be faced with lots of resistance. If you speak up and say things that people don't want to agree with because it challenges their values, it challenges their way of life, it challenges what they are using to manage their internal conflict, they will come up against you and they'll come against hard.
Yeah, if your life is peaceful, no one comes up against you. You have no one who sees you as an enemy. Then you're probably not being authentic enough. If you don't have people who are cursing you, what they say is the devil pursues those who are dangerous. Like, the devil's not going to go after someone who isn't a threat to him. He'll go after someone who's a threat to his kingdom, to what he wants to put into this world. So basically, if you are to step into positions of leadership and you're getting pushback from people and lots of hate, you can either see that as negative feedback, that what I'm doing is wrong, or you can see that as positive feedback of, okay, what I'm doing is right, and it's just pissing off a certain group of people.
Which is almost a sign to keep going.
A sign to keep going. Because if you're not, the thing is, what I'm trying to say is, if you're not pissing anyone off, then you're being a people pleaser. Because you living authentically is going to piss someone off. You living truthfully is going to piss someone off. And you have to be okay with that. And you have to stop seeing people being pissed off at you as a problem. You just have to see that as just a thing. You don't even have to have an opinion on that. You can just say, people pissed off at me. You don't have to add anything onto that sentence. You don't have to say, and this is bad, or and this is good, and this is whatever.
It's the labeling, like what you were saying before.
Yeah, you don't even see it as a bird. It's just, what is this thing?
Yeah, it's type of,
it just is. And
then when you don't label it, or you don't almost create a connection between you and that, it's so much easier for it to just stay over there or not matter.
Yeah. Would you like to add anything to leadership? No.
Let's move on.
What have we got? I think your piece of paper's gone flying. Oh no, you've been sitting on it. Beautiful. You can lead us in where to end this episode.
All right, I got my book out. I brought my book today, which is the one I've been referring to, Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill. I've been referring to it a bit throughout this podcast today.
So this is going to be basically a mixture of our quotes and our recommendation, all in one.
I definitely recommend reading this book.
Yeah.
Okay. So I tab heaps of stuff. Tabs.
Would you like to you told me who gave you that idea of the tabs?
My partner.
Beautiful.
She's so cool. She's a bookworm. Her passion is books and she loves them.
We need more people who have passions for books.
Oh, she loves it. It's so cool.
Bless you.
And anyway, so she gave me these tabs because I used to write in the books, and she's like, "No, stop writing the books." I'm like, okay, I agree.
You graffiti artist.
Holy crap.
You vandal.
I vandaled books. Yeah. So no, this is literally what I was speaking about before. Did
you just turn to a random page?
Yeah. I just turned a random page. The only difference in intelligence between a man and a stalk of grass is the difference in the number of units of intelligence residing in each. That's exactly what I was talking about before. I can't believe that.
That's
crazy.
That's on something. Something else just made that happen.
Yeah. So that is my quote of the week. Because.
Well, tell us a bit more about that book.
Oh, this book. So essentially what it is, it's a conversation between him and the devil. So he discusses, you would actually love this book. It's literally questions and answers about how does the devil control people.
Yeah, I've been learning a lot about that too.
And it's so interesting. Here we go. When a man becomes consumed by the desire for material possessions and personal power over his fellow men and forgets that his greatest privilege on earth is that of rendering useful service to others, he is creating a weapon of self-destruction. Literally, that's saying selfishness is self-destruction. Which is crazy because so often we're told, oh yeah, go out. But it's easy. Like they've got so many ads and you've got marketing everywhere you look. I think one of the best things about us coming to a park is that there's no marketing anywhere. But still, there is. On the back of our phones, Apple. On the side of our bags, there's Fast Times, like on our computers, on brands. There is stuff everywhere, all enticing you. Hey, this is a brand. You should buy this. You should buy this. This is a brand.
This is the most important thing.
This is the most important thing. And like you can see today, like you've got people with iPhones, you have people with AirPods, you have people with I watch Apple Watches
Apple Watch
and things.
here. I've got my MacBook
Apple
there.
Watch. Yeah. Like
My iPhone here.
all of these things were not needs. Now they are. In ways like you need a phone. Most people, you probably need a phone these days. Like, but
At one point, you didn't.
at one point you did not. But then through our desire, we have created requirements for us to have this. We have our desire for us to be able to do more, achieve more. We have created new needs for us as people. And then how do we run phones? We need power.
So now we're relying on that.
So now we're relying on power, which means energy companies. So there's just so much that comes from desire and selfishness and all of these things that we're almost like, say you didn't have a phone, I wouldn't know how to get to your place. I need Google Maps.
But
So
our parents don't.
In a way, that has destroyed my ability to be able to navigate my way to your house
Yeah.
independently. Just something to think about.
So, 1 minute conversation. That's basically talking about this thing called idolatry. Idolatry, which basically is basically means what are you making your god, or what are you making rule your life? So the way you could say, you could tell me if this is true in that book, but one of the great ways that the devil deceives people or outwits people is he makes people worship or put as number one anything that other than God, or other than, and you could say God is love. So if you're not religious or whatever, you can say anything other than love. So he will say money is more important to you than love. So you have to worship money. Forget about love, go after money. Or this phone, these Labubus, they're more important. Go worship those. Go bow down to those. Put love aside. Go get those.
It's a trap.
So that's what it is. It's a trap. It's blocking you from love. It's blocking you. So that's what it is. Idolatry. It's like, what are you making in control of your life? And we can even idolize ourselves. Of course. We can idolize or worship our own self-protection or our own self-control instead of surrendering to a greater plan. So yeah, idolatry. I'm not going to talk about it.
That's
you can Google it if you would like to. You can ask ChatGPT.
What
is idolatry?
What quote were you thinking about sharing?
Okay, so comes from Return to Love, and you inspired me because I had no idea what my quote was going to be.
I love going in with no idea, and then you just kind of create.
I never think
you let the conversation
go. Yeah. So, I don't know the full quote off by heart, and.
Have a hot crack, Cristian.
I'll have a hot crack. It's a full-on paragraph. It's from Return. You know what's actually really cool? I was going through some boxes maybe a month ago, and I came across like my graduation certificate from year 6, so primary school. So I would have been 11 or 12, and they give you like a little bear and congratulations. Guess what was on the back of that?
What?
This quote from Return to Love, and I was like, what? Return to Love? My primary school knew about Return to Love. My principal put that on our thing.
Wait, dead set?
No, dead set. And I was like, holy shit. I've read that quote before.
Wow.
But anyways, it's yeah, I was like, holy
That's
shit.
Sick.
That was such like a cool moment. It was a bit freaky. I was like, whoa. But I know the first line, and then there's another line somewhere in the paragraph that I want to talk about, but or the jargon in between, I don't know the correct wording, but it's basically, it's not our darkness that scares us, it's our light. It is not that we are not afraid that we are powerless, but we are afraid that we are powerful beyond measure, essentially.
We are not a crazy.
Basically, we aren't scared that we suck.
Yeah,
we're scared of how amazing we actually are, how perfect we actually are, who we can be. Yeah. So if we think about leadership, we're not afraid. We're not afraid that we suck at leadership. We're afraid of where us actually being a leader is actually going to put us. Because what happens when you lead? Charlie Kirk.
Wow.
That type of thing. You can have people come against it. So you're not afraid that you suck at leadership. We push ourselves down so that we don't have to put ourselves into those positions of leadership that come with pushback.
Wow.
That's what we're afraid of. Now, here's the other part of the quote that this part is what inspired you, is what inspired me based on what you said to talk about this, is it's something along the lines of, when we step into our light, we subconsciously give those around us permission to do the same. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like when we be courageous, when we uphold our values, when we stand up for the things we believe, when we stand up for our values, when we essentially, in that terms, when we be a leader, we subconsciously give people permission to do the same, which, you know, like the thing, if we want to talk about the thing I was pondering this week, is that's like what Charlie's done. Is he's given people permission to say, okay, this is time that we stop saying we believe in things that we definitely don't believe in, just because it's the culture. And it's okay, no, I'm taking no BS anymore. Like,
I actually that just reminds me of, I have a wonderful person I've been speaking to online. And she's been going through quite a significant, maybe mental challenge, you would say. And it's been going for quite some time. And she was actually friends with one of my partners in the past. And she told me, she said, hey, I just wanted to let you know that they all talk smack behind your back. And I was like so overjoyed. I was like, yes, let's go.
Because I'm doing something good now.
I'm like, I'm making a difference.
You're making a difference. Because if you were a loser, you wouldn't be popping into their mind.
They wouldn't give a shit.
They wouldn't care.
But like, I still see them like accessing my For You page and things like that. You know, like TikTok, it comes up. So I'm like, I still see you. And I'm like in the back, they're talking smack. I'm like, let's go. Like in the past, that would have been that would have been crushing for me. But now it's like you get to that point, that sense of self in your life where you're confident enough in who you are. And someone says something like that and you're like overjoyed. It's like,
what's funny?
God, I actually know I'm making an impact.
I think a little while ago I made a post about like victimization, like don't be a victim, like everything's your fault or something like that. And I didn't even know this person followed me, but it was actually like one of my ex's best friends, full like angry reacted it. And I was like, okay, this is a good post.
Yeah. Because maybe, and the best part about it is maybe that person, like they're still hearing me. You know,
a seed has been planted.
Yeah, the seed has been planted. It's like, that's the best part. Like their negative response to it will at some point in their life, should they choose to, significantly change their life.
Yeah, so plant some seeds, piss some people off. Go for it.
It's like the episode title.
Yeah, plant seeds, piss people off.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be afraid to piss people off.
Cristian, what are you grateful for? 3 things.
I'm grateful for health because this week I've had a challenge with my foot. I basically had something growing on my foot. Nothing serious, don't get concerned. That just had to be removed and it's been quite difficult and painful to walk and navigate the world. So I've been grateful for being able to walk and having health. I'm grateful for you and the time we spend together and these conversations that we have that help us to dive deeply into the things that we believe in, so that both you and I, again, we get to basically reinforce what we believe and understand the things we talk about better, because we learn a lot of things, but then talking back and forth between you and I, we understand the things that we know even more because I'm hearing it from your voice, hearing it from my voice, and I'm grateful for these conversations. And the final thing I'm grateful for is basically this new sense of courage and leadership that has come from this conversation, and that has come from recent events that, you know, and it just goes to show that even in the world, like even our failures are blessed. How about you, sir?
That was beautiful. I'm
I'm also one more thing. I'm grateful.
Yeah, hit me.
I'm grateful for my lovely lady because I know she's listening to this, waiting for me to say that.
Okay.
And that is very, very true.
You're a good man.
So actually, you're that's number one, and then the other things were 2, 3, 4.
Good
Love
save.
you very much.
Good save. Well done.
She's currently standing next to me with a gun to my head.
No.
Joke.
She was like, as a sniper.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, she's like, are you going to mention me? No, she's very beautiful, and I love her very much.
I love that. It's beautiful. I am too very grateful for my partner and how she has shown incredible strength this week with what I went to her and literally attacked her world through trying to alleviate some of my own pain. And she was able to hold compassion and love and help me work through it and understand it. And that is just incredible. So I'm very grateful for her.
That's a true blessing.
And I'm incredibly grateful for all the beautiful people I have in my life, like yourself. Truly. There's no one else I can do this with that I know. I'm grateful for my family. Like so much. I've been so much more grateful. Like this year has taught me, like, the people in your life, like your family. Oh, I love them so much. So much. And they're just been really beautiful. And my friends turning corners in their lives and looking to be better people. And I'm so grateful for all of them. And the ones that are still challenged and still struggling. I learned from everyone. Like I learned from you so much. I always look to learn things from people. That's why I was saying before, like that person I was sitting at the table with, like I know what I'm learning from you is that I don't need you in my life.
Yeah, you can learn. You can learn from like the opposite of people.
Yeah. And so I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for energy to be able to get up and do this. I had a massive day yesterday. I jam-pack my days full of stuff, and I do it on purpose. Yeah, so I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for this podcast and the wind that is clearly telling us that we need to stop.
Yeah, the wind just like knocked everything off the table.
The wind's like
but
gold.
It's still recording. It's all good.
We're all
fine.
good.
But
anyway, thank you so much for today's episode, mate.
This has been probably one of our better conversations. It was very go with the flow, and I love that. But it was still very structured. So it wasn't episode 1 go with the flow.
Give me some love, my guy.
Yes. Well,
thank you for listening. I hope you took some value from today.
Next time we'll talk about whatever we talk about.
Letting go.
Letting go. Okay, we'll talk about that.
We touched a bit on it. We could have dived into it, but maybe that's a theme of what's going to be happening. We're going to say we'll talk about 2 things, but at the end we'll say we'll talk about the second thing next episode. That's like what we do every episode.
All right. Well, you guys enjoy the rest of your day, morning, afternoon, night, weekend, whenever it is you're listening to this. You are leaders and you can lead, but it is up to you to believe that you can do that. And piss people off in the process if you need to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, mate.
All right. Stay off the beaten path.
You.